the opportunities are enormous, because we as healthcare professionals see a huge amount of the burden of ill health. Obviously that's our job, but within that there's a huge amount of inactivity there. A lot of people who we see are very, very inactive, and they've come to talk to us about their health, and therefore if we can effectively talk to them about the fact that inactivity might be contributing to that ill health, and therefore activity might be beneficial to their health, then they're primed to receive that information and perhaps to go and make some changes. The challenge is, as always, time and resources. As a GP, I have about 10 minutes to see each patient. They never come to talk to me about physical activity per se. They want to talk about their sore knees or their chest pain or their headaches or their depression or whatever it is, and to manage their agenda effectively, and then to be able to talk to them about physical activity and to signpost them to services, etc., is really quite a tall ask. And therefore, if we have links within the physical activity sector, within the leisure sector, that are reliable and are trusted by GPs and other healthcare professionals that we can refer to or signpost to, then that's a huge opportunity, but one that we really need to work at effectively to realise the potential. So time is a huge factor. It takes time to change behaviour, and a lot of the people that we're talking about, the people who are least active in society, are really quite intimidated by the idea of doing any type of activity. They equate it with sport, and sport is for fit, healthy, young, white, middle-class people as a rule, and if you don't fit that bill, then sport isn't for you. And part of our job at the Royal College of GPs in the physical activity and lifestyle priority group is to try and move away from the idea of sport and activity being absolutely one and the same. The other issues is that healthcare professionals aren't by and large trained to talk about physical activity with patients. We're good at prescribing drugs, we're good at diagnosing medical conditions, but we're not so good at talking about the pros and cons of someone changing their lifestyle. We're not trained in motivational interviewing and behaviour change techniques as a rule. And finally, we don't really know about local opportunities. So if you're going to be talking to someone about physical activity, you need to be able to give them some solutions. If you're going to say, why don't we not start a new drug? Why don't you think about being more active? You need to have solutions on hand that you can refer them to so that they can carry out that physical activity, that they can make those changes. And again, there's so many different providers out there that we can't hold all of them in our head, and indeed don't necessarily have the time to go through the options. And that's why one of the big things that we're proponents of at the Royal College is the idea of social prescribing, and within that, community navigators who might be someone that you can refer to, a patient who's motivated to make change but doesn't know how to, and they can take them by the hand, almost literally, and talk them and walk them through the options that are available, and try and resolve some of that ambivalence about making changes that they will have. So typically health, because it's a massive sector, has operated kind of in isolation, and conferences like this are a really great opportunity to meet people who are in the third sector, who work in the industry of physical activity and leisure, and have that conversation, because where else would I have the opportunity to do that? And it's so gratifying to, number one, to be invited to talk. That's really, really nice. But also, when I finished talking today, I was pretty overwhelmed by people who wanted to come and talk, and there clearly is that need and that desire for people from the leisure and exercise sector to talk to healthcare professionals. I think they recognise that there's a huge, potentially untapped market, if you like, of potential customers that we see on a daily basis. And we recognise, slowly but surely, we're increasingly recognising that we and the NHS can't be the solution for the physical inactivity epidemic, and we need to work closely with third sector and voluntary and corporate organisations to provide that sort of link between inactivity and solutions. In a word, hugely. The NHS budget, goes up and up and up. It doesn't matter how much more resources made available, it seems, but it's just being outstripped as our population ages and becomes more unhealthy. And this concept of self-care and preventative medicine, and although I don't particularly like the term lifestyle medicine, is really important, because people need to be empowered to look after their health before they get unwell, and when they do become unwell with the conditions that we're talking about, that they're aware and they expect to be told about other solutions other than simply taking a pill for every ill, and that would include changes to their diet, changes to lifestyle behaviours like smoking and drinking, but particularly seeing as we're at an activity-based conference, about just making small changes to get more physically active, because we know that just doing 10 minutes of extra physical activity a week can have measurable benefits in terms of morbidity and mortality in the long term. It's been a really great event, and it's really nice to have the opportunity to share the stage with other movers and shakers in the industry. We as doctors are taught in a very particular way, and it's really interesting to see how other people from different walks of life approach the public health physical inactivity problem, and certainly some of the kind of grassroots and national campaigns and ideas that have been talked about today are really inspiring. Getting people who are otherwise left behind by society getting more active through quite innovative ways is really fascinating and quite humbling to see. And I think the important thing is that we as GPs, who do have an important role to play within our communities, know about them, about these opportunities that are out there, or at least know how to signpost patients to be able to access them, because we can't, as I said, we can't do it on our own, and we need to work with the sector. And I think gradually that is happening, but there's always more that we can do.